Thanks for joining us on National Focus. I'm Kimani. Coming up, Loreen Bannis-Roberts is Dominica's new UN ambassador. Chief Education Officer commends 2016 CSEC students, and 2 students awarded business scholarships for DSC. Stay with us for details of these and other stories after this.
Think water, think life. Water refreshes, restores, cleans, and enhances growth. Potable water is a benchmark for development. DOWASCO is serious about its mandate to ensure easy access to potable water island-wide and provide sewage services for a cleaner environment. DOWASCO is your water and sewage company.
Thanks for staying with us. Former parliamentarian Loreen Bannis-Roberts is Dominica's new ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations. Her Excellency Bannis-Roberts presented her credentials to the United Nations General Secretary Ban Ki-moon as the new ambassador and permanent representative of the Commonwealth of Dominica to the United Nations in New York on Monday, August 22nd. The UN Secretary General welcomed Her Excellency's appointment as the new Dominican ambassador and lauded the country's role at the United Nations as a long-trusted partner in the international community. Ambassador Bannis-Roberts reiterated Dominica's strong commitment to the United Nations and assured the UN Secretary General of her fullest support of his agenda for climate change and sustainable development. Ambassador Bannis-Roberts served as a Member of Parliament for the Castlebrooks constituency between 2000 and 2009. Between 2000 and 2005, she served as Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Minister in the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Private Sector Relations between 2005 and 2007. Between 2007 and 2009, she was Minister for Community Development, Culture, Gender Affairs and Information. She was also Liaison Officer with the Ministry of Employment, Trade and Diaspora Affairs from 2010. More recently, she served as Chairperson of the Dominica Disaster Relief Committee of the St. Thomas and the Castlebrooks Scholarship Committee. In 2011, she received the Woman of Great Esteem Emerald Award, which is given to women who develop and advance their communities without discrimination. Ambassador Bannis-Roberts succeeds His Excellency Dr. Vince Henderson, who served as Dominica's permanent representative to the UN since March 2010. Her Excellency Loreen Bannis-Roberts is Dominica's first female permanent representative to the United Nations. The Organization of Eastern Caribbean States is on a mission with the Jamaica Fair Trading Commission in Dominica to assess the island's draft Consumer Protection Bill. On Tuesday, consultations were held with officers within the Consumer Affairs Unit at the Division of Trade, as well as other public sector stakeholders from environmental health, fisheries, ports, public utilities, the Ministry of Health, and the Quarantine Division of the Ministry of Agriculture. On Wednesday, they met with regulators from the Independent Regulatory Commission, the National Telecommunications Regulatory Committee, DOMLEC, DOWASCO, and the Dominica Consumer Protection Association. Acting Director of Trade, Mathan Walter, spoke to GIS News about the importance of the Consumer Protection Bill to Dominica and explained that the 3 days were also a fact-finding mission.
We had very fruitful discussions, and I think what was realized in that is that the IRC, for example, has been doing a lot of work in the undercurrents to ensure that consumer rights, where the electrical utility is concerned, are properly protected. We're looking at having discussions with the private sector because in every way you look at the legislation, it is going to directly impact on the modus operandi, the way that they used to do business before. So from the time the bill comes into play, certain internal policies that they may have would have to change. So in an effort to be in accordance with the existing legislation.
$200,000 has been secured to execute the assessment of the Consumer Protection Bill, which should be modified by March 2017. After the completion of the assessment, a modified Consumer Protection Bill will be presented by the Division of Trade to government, which will be tabled in Parliament.
We have already gotten the professionals who can finalize the bills for us, and the guy will be coming down to Dominica, I think, between the 29th and the 3rd of September, 29th of August to the 3rd of September. He'll be here. He'll be meeting with the Ministry of Legal Affairs, meeting with stakeholders also, and the whole goal is to be able to get this bill finalized and ready for passage.
In more news, 2 freshman students have been afforded the opportunity to further their studies in business at the Dominica State College. Veda Roberts of the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School received a full scholarship from Whitco Development Institute, while Garner Harris of the St. Mary's Academy received the Elkin B. Henry Memorial Scholarship. Whitco Development Institute is a local organization working with national and international development partners to improve the livelihood of the poor and revitalize the rural economy. Director of Whitco Development Institute, Eliud Williams, says his organization is pleased to be part in assisting young individuals to pursue higher education.
Today, it is perhaps a very simple ceremony, but a significant one, which offer 2 students, and where we will offer 2 students annually the opportunity to pursue higher education at an institution which is rapidly gaining significance and importance for a fine academic reputation both locally and overseas.
Nathalie Sampson, who is the daughter of the late Elkin B. Henry, spoke highly of her father's achievements and his commitment to education. The late Elkin Henry served as a member of Parliament from 1957 to 1970 and was the former Minister for Labour and Social Services and is a former Minister for Education. He was also a teacher at the St. Mary's Academy. This is why she says it gives her great pleasure to award this scholarship.
His desire for education was not just for his children and his community, it was for the nation. This explains in part why we chose to keep his memory alive through the award of this scholarship. In the 1959 speech in the House of Assembly, he argued, "It is doing an injustice to what we have been able to achieve here if those who represent us cannot assist our people in building confidence in themselves, in building their character, their prestige, after all they have done to show us that there is nothing in them." Congratulations, young Garner Harris, and it is our firm hope that you will rise to our expectations and graduate with honors.
Recipients Veda Roberts and Garner Harris expressed their gratitude for the scholarships.
I would like to say thank you to Whitco Inc. for sponsoring this scholarship because, to be honest, everybody has financial difficulties. But before thanking you, I should thank God because I know if it wasn't for him, I would not be standing here receiving this and topping my grades. I would like to thank you for giving me this scholarship because I couldn't do it on my own. I had the support of my mother, my principal, my teachers for pushing me.
I'd like to thank the management of Whitco Inc., SMA staff, parents, supporters, and everybody who made it possible.
Each student received a check of $1,500, which will go towards the school supplies and transportation. Also, 2 checks were presented to the bursar of the Dominica State College for the tuition fees of the students. You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
Introducing the Government of Dominica Internal Directory mobile app, available for download from the Google Play Store, One Mobile Market, and the Government of Dominica's website. Access to all ministries and sub-departments' phone, email and office addresses and websites. Simply select a ministry and the sub-department. You can dial directly from the app or save the numbers to your phone contacts. It's convenience at your fingertips.
Is my passport ready for pickup? good. It really works.
Download the Government of Dominica Internal Directory mobile app today.
Welcome back. Director of Trade Mathan Walter is appealing to the private sector to participate in consultations that address amendments to the consumer protection legislation. This week, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States and the Jamaica Fair Trading Commission visited Dominica to conduct an assessment of the island's consumer protection bill. Part of the assessment is a fact-finding mission which involves interaction with private and public sector representatives that are affected by the Consumer Protection Bill. Walter expressed disappointment in the lack of involvement from the private sector.
I think it's because of the fact that they have not as yet recognized the impact that the legislation will have on them, and they always recognize too late. They recognize those things when the legislation is already passed, and then they claim that they don't know anything about it. I want to appeal most especially to the service providers, the mechanics, the insurance agents, the banks, you know, that they need to attend those consultations, because the legislation throughout its entire vein, it speaks to goods and services all through. A lot of focus is not usually placed on services, and sometimes it almost seems like the Ministry of Trade does not deal with the area of services, but we are the ones who negotiate services on behalf of the Commonwealth of Dominica.
He urges them to be more involved in the changes that are being made which affect them.
We have had the both bills on the Dominica website for quite a while. We had the generic Dominican bill that we have been working on for a number of years, and then we had the CARICOM harmonized bill on the website. And only 2 private sector persons have come to the Ministry of Trade, sat down and went through the legislation with us and showed us areas where they believe it could be tweaked, or certain concerns that they have, or come for clarity. And I think that now is the time that they should do that.
The Director of Trade explained in more detail the impact of their contribution to the bill.
I'm speaking to all service providers. The insurance agents have a part to play too. There may be persons who are aggrieved. They now have a legitimate avenue that they can go to bring their complaints. It's important that, you know, the provisions of the Act are known, that the persons who are going to be or who are involved in business are up to date, properly sensitized, their capacities are built in understanding the legislation, so that by the time the bill becomes a reality or it becomes law, that they would begin the process of making the internal changes to be able to fully appreciate, recognize, and implement the bill.
Walter stated that for any bill to be effective, the stakeholders must take ownership of the process.
For the framework that we are trying to build to be balanced and to be properly developed, to my mind, the private sector has to play a part. They have to ask the right questions. They have to make the right queries. They have to indicate the areas in the legislation that may be onerous for them. And we have to come to some even ground. The process of putting in place a proper functional legislation, it has to be a consultative process, because even if CARICOM sends us a harmonized bill, it has to be tweaked to Dominica's unique circumstances. It has to appreciate, it has to recognize our own unique circumstances. And how is the Division of Trade able to do that if the persons who it is meant to affect, you know what I'm saying, are not playing a part in the discussions?
So far, the participation of the public sector has been favorable. Chief Education Officer Melina Fontaine has high praise for students who sat the 2016 Caribbean Secondary Education Certification or CSEC exams. Fontaine revealed at a press conference last week that in 2015 the overall percentage pass was 77.3%, whereas this year it rose to 81.7%, a 4.4% increase.
This percentage places us 17.7% above that of the regional average, which is 64%. Generally, all except 2 schools maintained or increased their overall percentage points. Schools where they already had a high percentage pass, like Convent High School, St. John's Academy, SMA, and 7 Days Adventist Secondary School, they maintained or they increased their percentage pass. 9 schools had percentage passes of 80 and above, and 12 schools out of the 15 schools had percentages 75% and above.
50% of students passed 5 or more subjects, including mathematics and English language.
And this shows an increase over the past 2 years, and we are very happy for that because we want all our students to graduate with language and mathematics. 50 students from 10 of the secondary schools obtained 6 or more ones. We saw increases in 20 subject areas compared to the previous 2 years. Analysis also showed that scores were 80% and above for 75% of the subjects. Only 3 subjects showed pass marks below 70, but they were all above 50, so that's great. And we hope that we see a difference next year.
She expounded on the results for mathematics and English language.
We are happy to report a 10.7 percentage point increase in English A for 2016. Performance moved from 70.9% in 2015 to 81.6% in 2016. It also showed an increase of 14.6% from the regional average of 67%. For mathematics, while we saw a slight decrease by 10%, moving from 58.3 in 2015 to 56 in 2016, we are happy to report that we are still 12 percentage points above the regional average of 44%.
This year, the results of all subjects passed in Dominica surpassed all regional passes. Convent High School, St. Mary's Academy, and St. John's Academy maintained their high averages, whereas Portsmouth Secondary, Northeast Comprehensive, St. Martin Secondary, and Orion Academy showed increased averages this year. 1,282 candidates sat the CSEC exams this year in 33 subject areas. Before we leave, an announcement from the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development. The Embassy of the Government of Mexico is advising of a call for scholarships and scholarships for special programs for 2017 in the following areas: specialization, postgraduate studies, doctorate degrees, graduate research, postdoctoral research, and research degrees. Interested persons may visit our website's announcement page at www.news.gov.dm. Tourism taxi service providers are advised that decal stickers are now available, so please ensure that vehicles are inspected at the traffic department. Decals will be issued only on Tuesdays and Thursdays between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Additionally, ensure updated copies of vehicle license, driver's license, and insurance, along with $20, are submitted to the Discover Dominica Authority. Also, a mechanical check must now be completed by a professional mechanic and presented to the DDA. Forms are available at the DDA's office. Tourism taxi service providers are also informed that new contracts have been prepared for signature upon renewal of identification cards or vehicle certification. The DDA encourages taxi operators and drivers to finalize the certification process to ensure a smooth flow of operations for the start of the 2016-2017 season. For additional information, please contact the Discover Dominica Authority at 448-2045. Also take note of this announcement from the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation. The public is asked to note that the Fonkole Sanitary Landfill is opened from Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. The landfill is closed on Sundays and public holidays. Please be guided accordingly. Coming up next, your tip of the day. In today's tip, we'll discuss one of the benefits of smiling. Smiling makes you feel good even if you're feeling a little blue. All you have to do is think happy thoughts and just add that smile. Smiling will trick your mind into feeling better as endorphins are released to reduce physical or emotional stress. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow us on Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. Live streaming is also available on our YouTube channel 24 hours a day. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I'm Kimani. Thanks for watching and join us again next time on National Focus.